Welcome back to Mushoku Tensei, Jobless Reincarnation, anime review episode number 23. We're reviewing technically the second episode of season 2. It is also the 25th episode of the series, 26, called The Forest in the Dead of Night. This episode pretty much covers chapters 3 and 4 of book 7. Let's see. Okay, you might be thinking, is there major changes, whatever? A few minor things. Majority of that was cut was extra dialogue, but you can tell by the animation. Yeah, all the major stuff was kept in. I was surprised how a lot they kept in here, because there's one scene in the beginning of the episode. Well, first we start off with basically Rudius, where he is just doing a lot of exercise. He does mention basically it's been a few months since the previous episode, and he's gained the nickname of Quagmire, which in the book he gained that name after one of his assignments he was on. Now he's referred to as Quagmire, which is his nickname. So this is the first time the name is actually mentioned in the series, which, as in the most recent book, he's addressed by Quagmire as a nickname. So we see him jogging, and he calls his knees like one of them. He calls his knees nickname. He also mentions like Hercules and Hulk, because he's working on basically building. So he's basically built himself really well. Puts his clothes back on, and then he goes to get a job. Sees another party where he's acting like a jerk to him. Where later on he suspects one of them was actually look like similar to his father, like his attitude. And he goes gets the job. The job is simply shoveling snow. They don't say what it is, but you can tell basically just by watching the thing. Thanks to, the fact they cut a lot of dialogue here. Probably they cut it out because it was probably cut due to time. You could just basically just watch the thing and just see, oh yeah, they kept everything in. I mean, they kept all the dialogue out per se, but yeah, they kept pretty much everything in, which is kind of surprising. So you see him basically shoveling snow, activate a device which basically melts the snow, and of course we also see a kid who trips, cries, and of course Rudius proceeds to heal the knee of this girl, which is anything to her at all. Then he proceeds to melt the snow, and of course, afterwards he proceeds to go on another mission with Counter Arrow to, go hunt some snow lances at this ruins of this place that was from the first human demon war. Okay, I love visually how the place looks fantastic. I think the studio, Egg Studio, I think it is, who basically makes this. They do a great job with the animation. Looks freaking gorgeous. Now there is a slight change here visually wise, where you have Sarah where she's tripping over Rudy saves and of course accidentally grabs her chest. Now in the book, and what I saw there, she was just in her clothes. In the anime, she still had her coat on. Yes, seriously, she had her coat on. And in the anime, it kept on. In the book, she took it off. And of course, basically, she's like, "What are you doing?" Like, nothing. And of course, they basically have the line where she asks if he's groping her because he accidentally grabbed her chest. This basically would come back to haunt him a little bit later. Well, not a bad way per se. And of course, they find the thing where she's looking around, look at the snow, and then he does see the statue. They're talking about King of Pike's statue. And it's the Demon Lord he met last season. It's like, yeah, that looks familiar. It doesn't say, but you can tell. And visually, yep, it's her. And then monsters attack. Yep. And of course, basically, he gets his party away, goes distracts, and of course, you have looks like he's about to get hit, and Sarah fires an arrow right into him. And of course, they battle for a while, and then the jerk party comes back. They eliminate all the monsters. And of course, he asks, what are you doing from our assignment? Of course, he punches Timothy. And it's like, well, there's a slight alteration here. It's like, I thought you guys were in a cave. Of course, because they know about their being here. But this is the guy ruins. So apparently the cave is connected here. Okay. Okay, since you gotta kill one, you guys credit for one, we'll take credit for the rest. Fine. And they go back. And of course, they celebrate. We see the guy getting drunk. he does apologize for punching Timothy. Then, of course, basically, where Rudy is just relaxing at the place later on after the whole drunk and stuff, waiting for another assignment. All of a sudden, the Cavalier comes back without Sarah and Mur, their healer, who revealed he's dead. They think Sarah's dead, but don't think he got separated from her. But then Rudius basically goes out by himself and just basically casts a spell to get rid of the blizzard and walks on. Of course, now here's the thing. He doesn't say the spells per se. In the book, he does. He speaks all the spells, which I do appreciate the fact they keep with the fact he can basically just conjure spell just by which is basically just using his special staff that Eris gave him the last season of the show. Because originally he did have a small wand that Rox gave him. Speaking of Roxy, we do see a couple times in this episode where he is praying to the panties. And I'm like, okay. So apparently that pouch he's got, apparently what's inside that pouch is Roxy's panties. So basically to calm him down, he grabs a pair of panties. And there's also this really weird scene that's not brought up again where he's like holding the panties in his hand, and then the reception comes back and she just looks at him, and then nothing comes of it. And if you're curious, that whole moment was completely made for the anime, because that didn't happen in the book itself, not that I remember anyways. So then of course Rudy goes out, kills a bunch of snow buffaloes with spear lance, which that's basically what's identified in the book, and the anime doesn't say what it is. He just kills them, finds Mur's remains, burns them. In the book he brings them back. And of course, then he finds Sarah, and this of course is really, really weird. And this did happen in the book. He finds Sarah, she's outside of this monster tree. He burns them, and of course he goes over the tree. Doesn't do anything to the tree itself. And he goes to a cave. Now, in the book he does mention that Sarah injured her leg and what fell off a cliff. And anime they don't mention that part at all. That's a minor thing. Of course, she's wearing underwear. Of course, she does notice the fact that Rudy is staring at her as of a pervert would, because she's a very beautiful woman. So then, of course, basically after he heals her, then he basically has to wear his coat because she lost her coat. And they go back to the city, and of course they basically walk home. And of course, Susanna, Timothy, and the other person in the party wonder, like, you want a blizzard? And of course, everything is all perfectly fine. And then of course Rudy is expected to go home, and then they cut you see her say this basically via without her saying the words, where basically she says "I love you" to Rudius. And that's gonna set up the end of book 7. Yes, and also the last time we're gonna see Sarah for quite a while. Yes, because here's the thing about Sarah. Because she only appears in 2 books. She appears in book 7, and she appears in book 14. And that's it. That's all she appears in. Yeah, roughly 2 books. And that's pretty much it for her. I own book 14. I don't own book 7. I basically read this on my phone. Yes. When they get to adapting book 10, I will basically get the book itself. Right now, I'm reading digital stuff right now. But this is a really good episode. I think that I'm very happy with basically what they adapted here. The only thing major cut here is basically a Sarah point of view. Now, I would not be surprised if this point of view section of the chapter, they did this also for chapter 2 as well, where there's a point of view for her in chapter 2 and chapter 4. So I would not be surprised if we have an OVA release that adapts these particular point of views. And if you're curious still, do other books do this, where other characters have point of view, like stories still have their point of view? Yes. Several books. As a matter of fact, a lot of the books do this. So, this is nothing really new. Do I think there should be an OVA adapting these 2 sections? Yes. I definitely think they should. But that depends upon the studio. So, that's going to be pretty much it, particular view. Tomorrow, probably going to be some Doctor Who in a comic corner or 2. But that's going to be pretty much it for tomorrow. Okay? Next video. Bye.